Hello and welcome to episode 53 of Sensational She-Geek live from Yancey Street. This will likely be a bit of a shorter episode, or streamlined, as we only have a few very short points of news for this episode. A good chunk of comic book picks because it was an excellent week of comics, if I do say so myself. We're probably going to go ahead and skip over the polls since I already have done the pick list for the same list. And we'll go straight into May, Marvel, and DC comic book solicitations, because we do have both of those, and there's some really exciting and fun stuff happening in the comic book world in May, so we will check out all of that at the end of today's episode. Before we get started here, you can find me online on Instagram. My username is Anna with the Comics. You can find me on Twitter at Savage She-Geek, and you can find me on my website, sensationalshegeek.weebly.com, with highlights on the front page about Madeline Pryor, aka the Goblin Queen, Ileana Rasputin, aka Magic, and Clea, aka the new Sorcerer Supreme at Marvel. She's also going to be popping up in Multiverse of Madness this May. Fingers crossed. You can also find on my website the pod notes for reading the podcast instead of listening, which is also there for anyone who is hearing impaired who would still like to keep up with the podcast goings on, and links to everywhere that you can listen, which is most podcast hosting apps, including YouTube, where I post action figure review videos. The most recent upload of which was the Hasbro Marvel Legends binary figure, which is set to be a Walgreens exclusive here in the US. So my husband ordered me one from the UK because we hadn't seen one yet. It's the same exact thing, just without the Walgreens label on the box. So you can go ahead over there to watch that video if you're interested, which also has some character history of Carol Danvers. I do also have a podcast Patreon. You can find it under Sensational She-Geek. It's set up for donations to support the podcast, so I don't have to work my day job as much. And my Ko-fi, Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal are all linked under my link tree, which should appear at the bottom with various other things at the end of each episode's description. Lastly, if you are interested in anything along the lines of a sticker that says "A Woman's Place is in the Comic Shop," check out my Redbubble store. It is She-Geek Shop, and it's got some fun, nerdy stuff like that. We'll go ahead and knock out the news pretty quickly here. First up on the list is that the Netflix-distributed Marvel shows are going to be added to Disney Plus on March 16th. For clarification on what that means, the Netflix Marvel shows, which were like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, the one we don't talk about, Defenders, all of those are going to be on Disney Plus come March 16th, which is pretty exciting because we know at least Daredevil is going to be a somewhat recurring character in the upcoming MCU, so this gives people a little bit of hope that maybe some of these other characters, like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage specifically, will also be kept around. In the news, in the world of Batman, and by Batman I do not mean the movie, I mean the comics, we have a new Batman writer starting in July. Again, we had one at the beginning of this year in January. He hasn't even made it 6 months. Apparently that was always the plan. He's not getting kicked off. It is, the new writer will be Chip Zdarsky, none other than, and I am tickled. He is currently writing Batman the Knight, which genuinely I do not care for. It's not that I don't care for it, I just don't care about it. It's Bruce Wayne before he was Batman. I just don't care. But if he's writing at the same time, more or less, his own Batman series, and this is not his own Batman series, this is the Batman series, this is the canon, the one Batman ongoing series, and he's starting it up in July, he's picking it up in July, continuing off from wherever Williamson will leave it off in June, so that's pretty exciting. Chip Zdarsky has done a ton of excellent writing across various publishers, Stillwater, Sex Criminals, Daredevil. There's so many others, but those are the three that popped into my head first, so that's what you get. Really, really big fan of Chip Zdarsky. He has given probably some of the funniest interviews of any Marvel creator, possibly any comics creator. Really funny stuff. I highly recommend following him on social media. It's worth whatever it is, that's what it's worth. But yeah, Chip Zdarsky starting Batman with Jorge Fornes in July. Jorge Fornes has excellent art for Batman. The last time he was on it, though, he was on it with Tynion, and I did not like Tynion's Batman. That shit was bad. So now we get a good team, Zdarsky and Fornes. Yay! It's very exciting for me. And we also have a release date, an official release date kind of, for the Batgirl movie. It is going to be in December of this year, and it's going to release on HBO Max. I'm very curious why HBO Max and not theaters. I imagine it has something to do with licensing. I don't know, but The Flash is going to be in theaters, isn't it? I don't know. But Batgirl, I think that is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for it. Everything that we've heard about it is really awesome. They've got a stellar creative team behind it. It seems like the actress who they've cast has done an equally excellent job capturing the character, so I, for one, am just thrilled when we get that. The last little bit of news I kind of want to just throw out there if anybody had anything to say about it. Just what I'm watching recently, since we're kind of between nerdy TV shows. Snowpiercer is one that I've been greatly enjoying. That one is slightly nerdy. It is based off of a French graphic novel that you have to really like French graphic novels to enjoy. It's very interesting. Abbott Elementary is another one that I really like, is getting its due praise, I think, for the most part. Children Ruin Everything, I'm super behind on, but that is a very funny show that ties a lot of progressive parenting into it in a natural way, and I enjoy that. I do not want to be a parent, but if I was, I would be that kind of parent, I would think I would want. Ghost is a really funny one. They had the UK version, and they've done the US spin-off, kind of. It's really fun, and Call Me Kat is like it's literally like the cheesiest sitcom with an audience laugh track and everything. I'm pretty sure they actually film it in front of a live audience. It's so cheesy, but I don't know why I like it so much. And then finally, Servant and Severance. Gotta say, Severance, it dropped its first 2 episodes, and I think everybody in the world got hooked. And by the time the third one came out, we were all like, it's whatever. That was me, at least. I don't know about you. Servant, though, is really good. I just think that Rupert Grint needs to stop eating on set so much. Moving on now into comic book picks, and there's a lot of them this week. Starting off, this is in no particular order, but we're starting off with Saga number 57. I'm actually kind of mad at how good this continues to be. Like, what gives you the right to be this good? You're incredible. What the fuck? It's almost infuriating how they just can't miss a beat. I love it, but I hate myself for loving it. I don't know, maybe it's not that. It's great. Good fun. But in this issue of Saga 57, they seem to be getting along with the space pirates who've kind of captured them. It even looks like they'll make a deal for working with them together or something like that. But then the captain turns out that he hates wings to the point that he will literally strip you bare to make sure you don't have them. And Alana obviously can't do that because she obviously does have wings. So, trigger warning, content warning. He does say that he'll rape the kids to death in front of her unless she does. So, Saga is back, boys. That may sound harsh, but that is literally Saga for you. It's not that something like that would even happen. It's just that they would make the threats. That's Saga. Silk number 2. Again, Silk gets a mini-series. For some reason, they won't give Cindy Moon anything more than 6 issues anymore. This week, Cindy takes a date to the Luna Snow concert and ends up having to step in as Silk when the Korean witch's henchmen show up to take Luna. By the time she remembers she had a date, he is long gone. Now the witch is angry with Silk because she stopped her from getting the singer, aka Luna, but she thinks that Silk will be just as good of a sacrifice or youth or whatever to steal from. Harley Quinn number 12, I did not particularly like. It was too wordy. Far too wordy. Just lines, pages of fucking words. I did not. Nope. Harley Quinn is not that for me. Not her. They do have a new female villain that they introduced at the very end called The Verdict. The Human Target number 5, still excellent. I love Tom King's writing, but goddamn if this issue is not a perfect example of why people hate it. Sometimes with his writing, you honestly have to just stop guessing what is going on and just have faith that he will make it make sense by the end. And he does, and it does. But that's why people don't like his writing, because you just have to wait it out and hope and just have faith that he's going to make it work. So in this issue, through very complex storytelling, wildly complex storytelling, we learn Christopher Chance's backstory, more or less, and why he wanted to go into this particular line of work. He had tried to step in front of a gun held to his father's head and failed in saving him. He was also trained psychically from a woman called Emra, who is from the moon Titan. She used him to kill her blackmailer, basically, and now he uses his abilities to learn that Martian Manhunter has recently had an affair with Fire, who seduced him for money. He gave her the money, aka the means to kill Lex Luthor, aka the man who previously killed her best friend, Ice. So now, Christopher Chance sees that Fire has means and motive for trying to murder Lex Luthor. So she will be the next, actually I think that's out tomorrow. Whatever it is, she will be the next character who we explore, I'm sure. Monstress number 37. The steampunk mysticism aesthetic is peak. It is killer. Still fantastic. In her memories with Zin, Micah sees that the world of old gods, the world they came from, they are beings of light who had been attacked by some sort of ancient enemy, forced to flee their world with the help of allies. Those are the allies from Micah's world. Micah sees her childhood, sees her mother and others experimenting on young fox children with the mask pieces. Young Micah couldn't bear it and wore the mask herself, inviting Zin in. While the whole location collapses, Micah is taken over by Zin for the first time, who consumes the energy of her own mother, killing her. So we're getting a lot more explanation into what it was that happened all those years ago. I believe it was Constantine was a city that was destroyed. We're finally getting a bit more of that. Iron Man number 17. I hate Tony, I love Patsy. Tony's got all of New York Tony-minded. He gave them all his own mindset, so he's saying, oh, they're smart like me. Well, no, Tony, they are you, so they only think like you. There's no originality. So Hellcat ends up going to Doctor Doom and Silver Surfer to help. Then Tony, when he figures all this out, slaughters all of his team members, slaughters Doom and Silver Surfer, and then goes in for Hellcat. I hate Tony, but I love to see him fall. We Ride Titans number 2, we have the young girl who is the pilot. She gets into it with her dad, as this is a family lineage of Titan riders. When the alarm goes off this time, though, it is not a giant bug that her Titan needs to attack. It is another Titan, but no one is inside and there is no response. It just starts to fight her. Bolero number 2. I am so taken with the series already. I can't recommend it enough. And you get some really, really cool insight on the making of this issue at the back of the comic. We get to see a variety of versions of Nat through different doors in different universes. They are as wild and broad as you can imagine and immensely satisfying. The realities were all based in anime, specifically taking inspiration from Neon Genesis Evangelion, Studio Ghibli Versailles Nobara, and Perfect Blue. One of the worlds was specifically meant to be inspired by Joan of Arc, and another one by the horror and cult movie The Wicker Man. So I just love that the little insights of where they get the inspiration. I love that. And this one still feels so much like Sex Criminals, and as of issue 1 you pick it up and you're just enthralled with this craziness going on. I love it. Black Widow number 14. Natasha gets her right arm chopped off, and the twins are tricked into bursting out of the cage by shrinking one of them to death. I don't think they can come back from that. Captain Marvel number 36 is the final issue of this story arc. Binary, the new being that Carol created, is able to beat Vox Supreme and speaks her first words in choosing her name, Binary. It's a really nice fun arc. It's not really anything too world-changing, but the Binary character is something to look forward to for sure, and it's always really nice seeing the Marvels work together, especially when they generally don't ever. So that was a nice switch up to actually see them acknowledge each other. Hopefully that stays that way. Let's keep the family close, maybe. Catwoman number 40 was so cheesy for me. I can't. It was not good. Selena, first of all, Selena has admittedly already still in love with Bruce. Why is she chasing this other dick? What she knows is a villain. And I feel like Selena's not going to be stupid enough to fall for the first guy who blinks at her when she's... This is Teenie Howard living vicariously through Selena Kyle. I am convinced of that. This is Teenie Howard dressed as Selena Kyle, living out her dreams of being a thought. No judgment, Teenie Howard. Like, you do you. It's not Catwoman, though. And finally, for the picks this week, we have Step by Bloody Step number 1, which is fantastic. It has beautiful art, no words in the panels. It's telling the story of a young girl who is being carried by an armored giant. It protects her, cares for her, gives her what she needs, like clothes and food. It fights monsters they come across while she waits to the side, and one day they defeat a monster as it terrorizes a village. The girl's cut on her cheek, and when the giant sticks a drop of her blood in the dirt, it turns into lush greenery. The giant denies the girl the villagers food and comfort, and they leave. Not long after, soldiers come to the village asking about the girl and the giant. The man there is taken hostage to show them where the two went. Meanwhile, inside the giant, it loses its armored's head, and beneath is what we see a kind of weird swamp thing-like woman. Possibly the girl's mother. She is intertwined with vines and tentacles and things. No idea what that... She kind of looks like she's rotting into a swamp. But it was really cool. Getting into May Marvel Comics Solicitations. There's some really fun stuff coming up, so you don't want to miss out. Starting off with Captain America Symbol of Truth number 1 by Tochi Onyebuchi and R.B. Silva, with covers by Olivia Coppel, Torrin Clark, Scotty Young, and Natasha Bustos. Sam Wilson picks up the shield once more and enters a world of trouble. Following a lead from Misty Knight, Sam intercepts a mystery group hijacking what appears to be an empty train. As he digs deeper, he discovers the plot may be connected to a crucial piece of Captain America history and, surprisingly, Wakanda. The world is ready for 2 Captain Americas, but is Sam Wilson ready for what comes next? Let's see, Thunderbolts number 1, it'll be of 5. This is by Jim Zub, with art by Sean Izaakse. Definitely said that wrong. There are covers by David Nakayama, Sean Izaakse, Paulo Siqueira, Todd Knock, and Stefano Caselli. It says, superpowered crooks have taken hostage in Staten Island. A dimensional rift tears open Chinatown. Monsters running amok at the Met. Call in the thunder. New York City's finest are here to save the day. Hawkeye, Spectrum, America Chavez, Power Man, Persuasion, and Guts and Glory. You know 'em, you love 'em, they're the Thunderbolts. In the aftermath of Devil's Reign, the Big Apple has problems, and it's up to a new group of Thunderbolts to turn things around. But when Clint Barton gets tasked with heading up this team to proving they can go toe-to-toe with anything in the Marvel Universe can throw at them, the first opponent he's going to have to face is himself. Well, that's because Clint's an asshole. Clint is by far one of the worst men in comics. Savage Avengers number 1, restarting by David Pepose and Carlos Magno, with the covers by Lionel Franciliou, Kari Andrews, Jan Bastolda, Bazaldua, John Romita Jr., Raphael Albuquerque, Giuseppe Camuncoli, and Todd Knock. We have X-Men Unlimited, X-Men Green, issues 1 and 2 coming out on print for the first time. This is about Nature Girl. She was a very poorly known X-Men character, but she is coming back to take a stand, and the X-Men have to make sure she does not kill anybody. Secret Invasion number 1 will be of 5 issues by Ryan North and Francesco Mobili, with covers by Gabriel Del Toro, Giuseppe Camuncoli, R.B. Silva, Todd Knock, and Scotty Young. It says the Skrulls are back in a giant-sized issue kicking off an all-new 5-part miniseries. Where Maria Hill detects the merest hint of Skrulls, she acts quickly to put her defensive plans into action. And when Nick Fury is sent to investigate a Skrull sighting in Iowa, he finds the last thing he was expecting. Our pale blue dot is in their sights, and this time Earth's old defenses won't work. Find out who you really trust. The invasion begins now. See, the thing, the Kree-Skrull war is over, and they are now united, so why would they be invading us? They have a king who is, like, pro-human. I mean, come on. Whatever. Marvel's Voices Identity, #1, is going to be another of the Marvel's Voices series. This is going to be for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We're going to have Ms. Marvel, Shang-Chi, Wong, Mantis, plus more surprises to come from an amazing lineup of new and established AAPI creators. Spider-Man 2099 Exodus Alpha. Let's see, it's by Steve Orlando and Paul Fry, with covers by Lino Franciliou, Ryan Brown, Ken Lashley, and Ron Lim. Miguel O'Hara is back. He has got to defend his present and our future. Spider-Man 2099 Exodus #1 follows right after that. Devil's Reign Omega #1, Chip Zdarsky and more, with art by Rafael de la Torre and more. In the wake of the most visceral Daredevil, nay Marvel stories ever, the Marvel Universe's New York City stands remade and reforged, if not in Wilson Fisk's image, then at the very least his spirit. Strange #3 is the 3rd issue of Clea's first ever solo series. It says, someone is preying on the misery and suffering of New York citizens. Clea Strange is all too familiar with the demons and monsters that stalk humans. But what happens when it's the humans who are hunting the monsters? She-Hulk #5 by Rainbow Roll and Jorge Antonio, covers by Jen Bartel and Romina Jones. Jen Walters has been around since 1979, but this issue holds a first for her. The mysterious villains surely don't care and plan on destroying her and Jack of Hearts. Silk #5, Time is Up. Silk has tried and failed to stop an evil witch from terrorizing New York. Now the witch is putting her grand plan into motion. New Mutants 26. We finally get a new solicitation for a new Mutants issue after like 6 months of having the same one repeated over and over again as they push it back and back and back and back. By Vita Ayala and Rod Reese. While the queen is away, demons will play. A new queen has taken the throne of Limbo, Madeline Pryor, aka the Goblin Queen. Meanwhile, separated from Limbo, Magic faces an enemy she thought she had banished long ago. Captain Marvel #38, Carol Danvers is missing. Her disappearance has left the newly sentient Binary to fill in, but stepping into the shoes of one of the Earth's greatest heroes is no easy feat. As Binary finds herself plunged into a world she barely understands, the questions about exactly who and what Binary is grow deeper, and where is Captain Marvel anyway? Avengers 56... Not sure if I'm going to read this one, but it's because it's still Jason Aaron, but it's Jane Foster taking the spotlight. She once wielded Mjolnir as Thor, goddess of thunder. Today she guards the world of the living and the dead as the winged Valkyrie. Now these two versions of the same mighty hero somehow find themselves face to face in a desperate bid to save the soul of Jane Foster. Star Wars Tales, Chrysanthemum #1. We get a Chrysanthemum one-shot. However, it is worth noting that this collects Star Wars 14 through 15 and 20, and the Dr. Aphra Annual #1. There are no new stories in this. Iron Man #20. We're getting Tony asking Patsy to marry him, apparently. Thor #25 was pushed back from April. Spider-Punk #2 of 5 will be continuing, as will What If Miles Morales 3 of 5, which is going to be his Hulk issue. Spider-Gwen Gwenverse 3 of 5, Knights of X #2, Legion of X #2, X-Men Red #3, Immortal #3, Marauders #3, Eternals #12, Black Panther #6, and Captain Carter 3 of 5 will also be coming out in Marvel in May. And that leaves us with the May DC Comics Solicitations. We're going to start off with Harley Quinn #15. It's still Stephanie Phillips and Riley Rossmo. They'll have covers by Derek Chu and Kamome Shirahama. Batman 22 Annual Number 1 will be written by Ed Brisson with art by John Timms, cover by Mikael Jenin, and variant by Chris Burnham. Following the events of the Abyss story arc, Batman has now tasked Ghostmaker to finance and lead Batman Incorporated. First order of business for the new management: clean up a huge mess Luthor created in Chechnya. But is this new group ready to face fearsome new threats, the Grey Wolf? And prepare yourself for the evolution of the Clown Hunter. Oh God. I didn't read the Harley one. Here's the Harley one. They really tried to throw me in prison for doing something I didn't do. I mean, this time I didn't do anything. In the past, I did do things. A lot. I don't know why she has a southern accent. Lots of things. But that's not the point. The point is, I'm innocent. It's a frame job, I tell you. The only way out of this is to catch the real culprit, and for that I need Batwoman. Seriously. Anyways, Batwoman's in this one. The end. Alright. Action Comics 2022 Annual Number 1 by Philip Kennedy Johnson and C. Spurrier. As the Warworld saga reaches a breaking point, the battle lines are drawn between the two towering forces at odds, Mongol and Superman. In this special 2022 annual, we'll explore how our combatants have evolved over the years to represent the beacons of hope and tyranny that they respectively embody, and witness the first chilling chapter of their ultimate final battle. Nice. Nubia, Coronation Special Number 1. Written by Stephanie Williams and Vita Ayala, with art by Marguerite Savage, Daryl Banks, Jill Thompson, Aletha Martinez, Nicholas Draper Ivy, Becky Cloonan, and more. Cover by David Mack. Variants by Joshua Swaby, Crystal Kung, and Reina Koyano. After the events of Trial of the Amazons, a new era for these warriors has dawned. Amazons from around the world have come to Themyscira to witness history and the crowning of their new leader. She stood between man's world and the dangers of Doom's doorway for centuries. When she was called upon to serve her people, she stood strong and clear-eyed, unafraid to look certain death in the face. She has united peoples on the brink of war. All hail Queen Nubia, champion of the three tribes. DC vs. Vampires Hunters is coming out with like a spin-off of the DC vs. Vampires by Matthew Rosenberg. A blood-soaked one-shot tale of vampire violence. The son of Batman, after years training to be an assassin, is on a path towards utter destruction of the vampire race. Enter Damian Wayne, Vampire Hunter. Justice League Road to Dark Crisis Number 1. Don't you remember when they told us they were never going to do a Crisis again? That was a joke. This is written by Joshua Williamson, Jeremy Adams, Brandon Thomas, a bunch of dudes, basically, plus Stephanie Phillips. The Justice League has tragically fallen in battle, and now we see the aftermath. How does the world react to the Justice League being gone? Which heroes rise up, and which villains try to take advantage? And what dark forces are lying in wait to attack? Aquaman, Andromeda, 1 of 3, written by Rom B, with art and cover by Christian Ward. It is a Prestige Plus, I believe, Black Label series. We have Jurassic League 1 of 6 by Daniel Warren Johnson and Juan Gideon, with art by Juan Gideon. I would have killed to have Daniel Warren Johnson do art on, though. It is literally Jurassic Park, Justice League. Duo 1 of 6 will be written by Greg Pak. When Milestone returned, Reginald Hudlin and Denise Cohen weren't planning on stopping there. Now they welcome you to a whole new realm of original characters, extending and reaching far beyond Dakota. Welcome to Earth M. And this is going to be Asian American heroes on Earth M. Batman Fortress Number 1 of 8 is written by Gary Whitta, with art by Derek Robertson. When an unknown alien ship enters Earth's atmosphere, disrupting global power and communications and plunging the planet into chaos, the world is left wondering, where is Superman when he's needed most? In the mysterious absence of the last son of Krypton, Batman must rally the rest of the Justice League to counter the alien threat. But first, he must quell a crime wave on the blacked out streets of Gotham. Danger Street 1 of 12 is Tom King's new series, with art by Jorge Fornes. Joining the Justice League is a goal for any superhero, but what happens when a quest for membership takes a sinister turn? Join Starman, Metamorpho, and Warlord as they look to prove themselves worthy by summoning and defeating Darkseid in battle. Soon they'll learn that calling upon a new god never ends well, and their world is headed for crisis as a result. The journey to save the day will be treacherous and one filled with princesses, knights, and all kinds of monsters. Each person the heroes encounters plays a crucial role in this sprawling yet gripping narrative that is a little bit silly, a whole lot dark, and completely cool. Expect the unexpected with a supporting cast featuring Manhunter, Lady Cop, the Green Team, and Creeper. Inspired by the heroes and villains of first issue special, Tom King and Jorge Fornes return for an unforgettable maxi series that reimagines the characters and their stories. Whew. And then we have Catwoman number 43 by Tini Howard. She's still doing Girls' Night stuff with Harley Quinn and other things continuing for the DC in May. Let's see, Batman One Dark Knight 3 of 3, Flashpoint Beyond 2, 3, and 4 of 6, Batman Urban Legends number 15, Batman Superman World's Finest number 3, Killing Time number 3, Beyond the White Knight number 3, I Am Batman number 9, Monkey Prince number 4, Naomi Season 2 number 3, Swamp Thing Green Hell number 3 of 3, and the final issue of Teen Titans Academy, and Wonder Woman Evolution number 7. Finally, I forgot I was going to mention this at the end, there are going to be some free comic books for DC on Free Comic Book Day, the traditional May 7th this year. So let's talk about those really quick. There are 3 of them. The first is Dark Crisis Free Comic Book Day Special Edition 2022, number 1, What a Mouthful. Written by Joshua Williamson and more, with art by Jim Chung, Daniel Semper, and more. Witness the rise and fall of the Justice League. The event, years in the making, is here with Dark Crisis. They said they were never going to do a Crisis again. The Justice League is comics' greatest super team, made up of DC Comics' legendary heroes. They have saved the world countless times. No crisis was too much for them to handle until now. The Justice League has been defeated by the Great Darkness and its army of DC's most dangerous enemies. Now a new generation of heroes must rise to protect not only the multiverse, but the legacy of DCU. This is basically bringing in Future State. That's how they're doing that. Galaxy, the Prettiest Star, Free Comic Book Special 2022, number 1, by Jadzia, Axelrod, and Jess Taylor. Every day in Taylor Barzolet's life might seem perfect, but every day is torture. Taylor is actually the Galaxy Crowned, an alien princess from the planet Cyandi, and one of the few survivors of an intergalactic war. For 6 long, painful years, Taylor has accepted her duty to remain in hiding as a boy on Earth. Oh, that's weird. But all that changes when Taylor meets Metropolis girl Catherine Call Me Cat Silverbag, whose confidence is electrifying. Suddenly, Taylor no longer wants to hide, even if exposing her true identity could attract her greatest enemies. It is an excerpt from an upcoming graphic novel. DC League of Super Pets Free Comic Book Day Special Edition, number 1, by Heath Corson and Bobby Timoney. It's just a DC Super Pets thing. It also includes an excerpt from the upcoming Super Pets graphic novel. And that wraps up this very short episode of Sensational She-Geek live from Yancey Street. I'm exhausted. I have one more of these to record, and then they all get posted. Thank you for listening to whatever portion of the podcast that you do. I hope that you enjoyed some portion of it in this past half hour, and I hope that you listen again soon. Peace.